Hi, this is Neil's on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Buy some silver and some platinum. Be a better you this year. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. See how that works out. Uh, this is about Burkina Faso, and they're breaking away from neocolonialism. And if you look at things in a time scale, neocolonialism was the latest thing that has been in Africa and manipulated their countries, certain countries, and whatnot. This is true. But it goes further than that. That's just like step one of getting back to sovereignty. There are other issues that will be coming up that are innate to Africa and Africans that they don't want to admit. That will be the next issues for Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And I hope they can deal with them because blaming others is always a good way to get things started. But it comes down to it. You can't always blame others. There is also fault at home. And once you get rid of the others to blame, you start looking at what else is wrong and you see the faults that got you, got the neo colonialism impressed upon you by your actions that allowed it. So after you get rid of the neo colonialism and all this other stuff that they're saying, which is cool, they need to do that. That's not the end of the issue, although it is the popular part of the issue. Oh, the bad fucking colonial Western Christian people are mean, evil, and intolerant and slave owners and everything else. And yeah, sure, that might be true. But that's not the end of the story. He doesn't talk about the end of the story. That's why I'm doing a little narration beforehand. Uh, Slavery is not an African only thing, but it's the only continent on the planet where it's legal. It is legal to own and capture slaves still in parts of Africa. So get rid of the neocolonialists. That's cool. Start taking control of your own country. That's cool. 100% behind that. But you can't stop there. You got to then take the mirror and face it, look into that mirror and say, why do we enslave our own people and sell them? That brought this badness down upon us that he's trying to change. So I'm also doing this narration because, I have hopes for Burkina Faso because they are going in the right direction right now. But if they don't go all the way down that road and they keep their eyes set on just getting rid of the bad white people, uh, they're just going to be back here in another 20 years because the bad white people aren't the problem. They came in like the cockroaches do every time and collect up on the feast of the problem. So by getting rid of the cockroaches that are feasting on the problem doesn't really fix the problem. It just gets rid of the cockroaches. Uh, Basically, that's the closest analogy I could think of off the top of my head of what's going on down there in Africa. Because I know of a lot of problems. I actually had a gentleman that I knew in Kenya about 8 years ago. His wife and donkey got stolen. Yeah, that's right. His wife and donkey were stolen. The donkey was the most valuable possession he had. I don't know what happened to him. I lost contact because he totally went crazy, lunatic, in sadness after his wife was taken slave in 2020. The 2000s in this millennium. It was 2014, 15, somewhere around there, that his wife was taken a slave. And it wasn't the colonial roaches that did it. So to say, yeah, and I am down with getting rid of all of what the colonials are doing. They're raping that country, resources, and profiting of it, and that's not cool. So I'm totally down with what they're doing. But they're exposing, they're pulling off the band-aid. The band-aid is the colonialists that they are blaming for the problem, and that in and of itself is a problem because the colonialists are not the problem. Because if they didn't have a problem to start with, the colonialism would have never happened. And to prove my point, just look at Ethiopia. Ethiopia has already stated they're going to attack Eritrea so they can get some of the part of the Red Sea. Eritrea, I did a report on. The guy who's running that country is a 32-year dictator, kind of very similar to North Korea, the way he runs his country. He indentured servitudes all of his African countrymen to the age of 40 or 50. So basically, when they reach 18 and get out of high school, they become an indentured servant to the country. And then once they're indentured servant to the country, they get paid like $1 or $2 a day, do what they're told, do what their master, the dictator, African dictator master tells them to do. And they're in indentured servitude for 40 years of their life, 30, 40 years of life, doing whatever they're told to do, being told that they have to do it to keep their country great, while their leader becomes multi-millionaire, close to billionaire status. So again, look at the bigger picture of problems. It's great what Burkina Faso is doing, but that's just pulling the Band-Aid off of the issue. It's not dealing with the issue. The issue is the Africans need to deal with Africans, and they need to respect each other. And I hope they can get down to that point, because, it's a great rallying point, blaming others. But once you get rid of the others, who do you blame? You have to blame yourself at that point in time. And that's where a lot of these problems are going to start, because they're going to be just like any other country. They're going to have problems with the self-realization that they caused their own problems to get that bad by things that they did. It's not the people that came in. It's the people that were there. That culture was a rudimentary, simple culture to start with. So therefore, any more advanced cultures in the general area would take advantage of the more simpler cultures to try and avoid words that'll get me strikes. Anyhow, this is the story. I just wanted a little narration.
Powerful New Year message to the people of Burkina Faso and Africa in general. Traore thanked all the people who understood that we are in a fight against imperialism. He said that the imperialists...
See, that's what I'm talking about. We're in a fight against imperialism. Imperialism is the virus that came into the sick patient, because the patient was already sick due to his own problems. Remember that.
Will never stop trying to destabilize us. But with the determination of the people and all those who support his government, we shall overcome. The year 2023 was marked by a profound analysis and diagnosis, affirmed the president of the transition. This included, he continued, breaking the chains of neo-colonialism and slavery. We are reassured that the fight we are waging is noble, declared the head of state. Comrades fighters for freedom, for peace, sovereignty, and real independence. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to address you on the threshold of the new year 2024, to wish the people of Burkina Faso inside and outside, the friends and partners of Burkina Faso, Happy New Year 2024. Let us give thanks to God who allowed us to see this day, which marks the end of the year 2023. Let us also pray to the good Lord for those who gave their lives for the independence of Burkina Faso in the reconquest of our territory. May their souls rest in peace on the free land of Burkina Faso. We also pray that God grants health to all those who today find themselves injured by the terrorist Hydra, and who led the noble fight for our freedom. We stand in solidarity with all these people who had to leave their country, who today find themselves internally displaced persons. 2023 was a year during which we carried out an in-depth analysis of the situation in Burkina Faso. A year during which we made a profound diagnosis of the ills that undermine Burkina Faso, which led to important decisions being made. These decisions were to break the first chains of slavery, imperialism, Neo-colonialism.
et amplifier la lutte.
I'm glad he said the first chains, because after you get rid of the whiteys, that's only the first chain. That means you still got more chains to break, and that's going to be all African problem. And that's what I hope they can deal with, because that's usually when you find out the worst of people. And that is one reason why, in my personal opinion, Africa keeps getting swayed and enveloped by other more advanced cultures because of their internal problems after they get rid of all the excuses. Right now, they're getting rid of the excuses. That's awesome, because those excuses were bad ones and they needed to go. I'm not saying anything about, France was a good thing for them. It might have had some good effects, but they were basically raping that country blind and stealing from the people. I 100% agree. My issue is, once you get rid of the French and the UN, who's going to move in to rape those people? Is the country going to protect those people, or is the historical culture of Africa going to show its face? And the historical culture of Africa is one of slavery that started all the problems. And I hope they get far enough into this cleansing of their country and all of the issues to address that issue, because no one wants to address that issue of why are we still having slaves in Africa today? America ain't been there for 150 years, so you can't be blaming us. But they do. So this is the unfolding of that, in my opinion. People won't see that, but it'll be made real, and people will realize it in a later date. Because once everyone in the elation is over with, you got rid of them. You got rid of the colonial oppressors, the ones that were raping us and ruining our country. Good. You got rid of them. That's when your personal problems with your country starts. And that's the real issue. It's real easy to get rid of people that look different because they do bad things. And yep, the French country, the colonial countries that were down there, they look different and they're doing bad things. Not doubting that at all. I'm 100% in agreement with that. But what I'm saying is that's not the problem, because they got there by dealing with the problem to be able to take it to that point. So again, it's like a Band-Aid. Once you get rid of the Band-Aid, you get to see the infection and see how bad and nasty the wound really is. And that's when things start usually going haywire. But anyhow, I'm going to cut this one short. I don't want to continue with his wishes and greetings for the new year, which I'm grateful that he has all of them for his people. And I'm hopeful for his people in Burkina Faso. But I'm also terrified that they won't be able to realize their own faults once they don't have anyone else to blame. You guys have a great new year.